Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Imaging channel. I'm Will, and today we're going to talk about the history of microfilm and where it's going in the future. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about microfilm. So microfilm was created roughly 180 years ago by a gentleman named John Dancer in 1839, and René Dagrin used microfilm for one of the first viable times in the Franco-Prussian War. They used to send messages via little pieces of microfilm and carrier pigeons, so it was a way to communicate with one's own troops during that war. That's one of the first uses. But the first commercially viable use of microfilm was in the 1920s in the banking sector. By the 1950s and through roughly the 1970s, microfilm became more of an active information system. An example would be in libraries where instead of patrons using big bulky books of newspapers or historical records, microfilm was used in a public way where they could easily access information and not have to deal with the large hard copy records and all that came with that cumbersome material. Microfilm was much smaller, much easier to use, so that's when it became more of an active system to access data rather than just a preservation system. By the 1980s, it became more of a preservation method than an active information system. So as the digital age came into being, microfilm was still around, but it wasn't the primary way to get to your data. Digital was becoming more prevalent, so microfilm was more of a preservation mode as a backup to maybe a primary digital system, or just as a way to keep records for the long term in a easily used and easily stored format. A lot of public entities are still using microfilm, A, because they're required to, or B, because they created a lot of microfilm back in the heyday when there was a lot of film being made, photographed, and used, and they just have these collections of microfilm that they're still using today, and they haven't gone forward with the digitization yet. Although we are moving more into the digital age, so more and more organizations that had microfilm are actually digitizing it now to get all their records into an electronic format. So now you've learned a bit about the history of microfilm and a little about the current state. Going forward, microfilm is not going away just yet. It'll be around for a long time, but there's still massive collections of microfilm records in the country, in the world, and moving forward, a lot of that is being scanned. So if you have a microfilm collection, you may want to keep it, you may want to scan it, or you may want to do both. But going forward, there is more of a press towards the digital scanning of microfilm rather than just keeping it by itself. So it's something to consider. But for now, that's it on the history of microfilm. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time.